And it's really nice to see the Atlassian community, Colombo chapter actually getting off the ground and up and running. Congratulations to both Sanas and Bhuvanakkar for getting this up and running and for having these events. And I myself am really happy to join that Bhuvanakkar and Sanas are facilitating, are hosting. Now, my topic for today is bringing Kanban to life with Atlassian JIRA. I'll give a small introduction about me as well on the next slide, and then we'll move forward. So me, I think Bhuvanakkar already gave an introduction about me. So I'm actually an agile coach by passion as well as by profession. I'm an agile coach as well as an entrepreneur. I've been in the industry for more than 7 years now. Started off as a web developer, graphics designer, software developer. Then moved into business consulting, business analysis. Then did project management, moved into Scrum Mastering, right up to becoming the Chief Innovation Officer of an IT company. And then for the past 2.5 years, I've been working at Wiley Global Technology as the Agile coach. And then 2019, started Aptra Holdings Private Limited. Aptra is a learning and transformation consulting company through which I do training, targeting professional certifications related to business analysis, agile, scaled agile, management 3.0. As well as I do consultancy work for certain companies on areas of agile transformation and all. Now, in terms of my career as well as my passion has always been, meeting people and then solving problems that they have. That's why I started as a software developer and then, moved into business analysis and project management. That actually made me happy that I got the chance to, meet people and work with them. And I loved teaching and training as well. So for the past 8+ years, I've been lecturing at multiple private universities. Doing training since 2014. A safe program consultant. I'm a certified management facilitator as well as certified in areas of Scrum and businesses. Now, this topic I'm covering today, living Kanban with Atlassian JIRA. Kanban is actually is an agile way of working that I really love. Yes, we know that we have a Scrum way of working using in agile, but I also love Kanban way of working. And the session that I'm going to have today is going to be a sort of an introduction to Kanban, as well as how we can use some basic features in Atlassian JIRA to make Kanban work, right? Since today is the first session, what I will do is keep, right? And I'm sure there'll be more and more, much more qualified people in Atlassian community who will come forward and do many more sessions on areas of JIRA plugins, Confluence plugins, and all, like what Sanas and Bhuvanakkar mentioned. They will do much more advanced sessions on how we can use different capabilities that are available on Atlassian to make our lives better, right? So today's session, let me just go back once again and I'll keep it over here. Today's session would be an introduction to Kanban, and I'll be talking about the practices of Kanban, the 6 main practices of Kanban, and I'll be touching upon some of the to Atlassian JIRA. I'll explain and I'll show how we can actually bring those Kanban to life, right? Before we maybe do a small icebreaker. I see about 13 participants on my chat window. I'd like to know how you all are feeling at the moment, right? You all can let me know how you all are feeling at the moment by typing red, amber, or green, right? Use red if you are feeling bad, if you are feeling stressed, right? If you are feeling angry at the moment, use red. Write the word red, right? If you are neutral, neither happy, neither sad, neither angry, or neither in an ecstatic manner, you can use amber. And if you are feeling very energized, really happy, then you can use green. Okay. So let's take 1 or 2 minutes. You can use the chat and just write how you are feeling at the moment. Let's see a lot of. How about the others? Amber, 1 amber. Okay, 2 people, amber. You get answers from everyone. So green once again. Did we get answers from everyone? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How about the others? How are you all feeling at the moment? Green, amber, and red. Okay, lots of green. And then we have 2 people who are saying amber and none red. That's actually good to see. None are saying that they're not feeling that great. Okay, this is really great to see that people are really happy and really energized. Even now for us over here in Sri Lanka, it's late in the evening. I know that there are some others who have joined from other countries as well. I'm sure even morning for all. Great to see that everyone is doing great. Even when working from home, everyone is happy and everyone is keeping well. One intention of doing this ice break activity was also, okay, how are you feeling, by the way? I'd say I'm feeling amber at the moment, simply because I had a power cut. We had a power cut in our area maybe about 1 hour ago, and the power came back just about 30 minutes back, right? To let others know who are joining from other countries, over here in Sri Lanka, we are having power cuts these days. And so it's really hot, it's really humid over here. And when you don't have power, it's not that great. And when you are due to do a presentation in another one or half an hour's time, not a good thing, right? So doing this session and interacting with you all, I'm sure it will turn to green very quickly. Why I did this activity is actually because of this. The topic today that I'm going to talk about, Kanban. Kanban is all about signals, right? Kanban is all about giving signals, okay? Visualizing the signals. And I got some signals from y'all saying that, okay, y'all are doing great. Yeah. Just to show you all, or just to give you all a brief idea about what Kanban is all about only, I did that particular ice break activity, right? But I'll also give an introduction to Kanban. So what exactly is Kanban, and when did Kanban actually start, right? So let's have a look at that. What exactly is Kanban? When did Kanban actually start? Kanban actually is a system. You and me, I'm sure most of you who have joined this particular session are from a software development sort of an industry, right? So one small thing, Sanas and Bhuvanaka, if there are any questions on the chat, please do let me know. I've minimized the chat window, so I'm not able to see.
Yeah, sure.
Messages. Thanks.
We'll notify Ramesh.
Okay. Yeah. So Kanban is a workflow management system. Majority, I'm sure, have joined from the IT background, IT industry, and we are working with workflows, right? If we take the software development life cycle itself, it's a workflow. Yeah, there are items that we need to do in to-do state, which we will analyze. We will do requirements elicitation. We will do requirements gathering, and we will move that item into the analysis state. Once the analysis into development, right, and then we do the testing, and finally we will verify and deploy. So it's a workflow. Yeah. Even when it comes to software development, we are dealing with workflows. And just keep this in mind, Kanban is not only for software development. Kanban originated way back. I'll give a small brief about the history about Kanban as well. But to manage any type of workflow, we can use Kanban. Okay. And Kanban is designed to visualize work in progress. WIP stands for work in progress. I'm sure everyone knows about that. So Kanban is designed to visualize work in progress and to maximize the efficiency of the flow of work, right? We are basically using Kanban to manage the flow of work. We want to get work done. You and me as individuals, right? You and me as people who are working in the IT industry. Our main intention is to get work done as possible. In the most quality manner, we want to get work done as quickly as possible. So Kanban actually provides us the opportunity to make the work that we are doing visual, right? Now, when did Kanban actually start, and what exactly is Kanban? So Kanban originated in Japan in 1603, 1604 sort of a time period. 1603, 1604 sort of a time period in Japan. Okay. During that time, there had been a war in the world, right? And it had just ended. Something like a really big war over there in Japan, and it had just ended, right? And people were trying to get do something, sell something, and they're trying to earn something. Okay. So they were, doing their fish. They whatever produce, they are bringing it to the market, they're bringing it to the streets, and they're selling it on the streets. One thing that they realized was there's a lot of competition. So they can't be selling it without any, sort of advertising. They started creating signboards. They started drawing the shape of a fish, for example. If they're selling fish, they'll write the name of the fish and they'll mention, okay, this particular fish costs you this amount. So to make things visible only, they started creating these visualizations, and that's the origination of Kanban in 1603, 1604 sort of a time period. But Kanban actually became popular in the 1940s, somewhere around 1945, 1946, once again, just after the World War. Kanban became popular in Toyota production system, right? In Toyota. So basically what happened was the owner of Toyota, a guy called owner of Toyota, hired a guy called Taiichi Ono, and he was given the responsibility of making the work at Toyota more efficient. And what Taiichi Ono did was he went and implemented dual signaling system at Toyota to manage the work. Again, I'm not going into a lot of detail about Kanban and what happened in Toyota and all. Kanban is all about giving visual signals, right? Kanban is all about creating signboards. Now, if you all have seen videos of Toyota and all, what basically happens is, I'm sure you all have seen, there are lots and lots of, colored boxes, maybe colored trays and all, right? Which will have all these spare parts and all the machines and everything that are used at the Toyota production system. And whenever any of these parts, who's doing the work will raise a Kanban card, right? The person who's doing the work, when that person needs any tool or any spare part, that person will raise a card saying, okay, I need these things now. So Kanban actually supports just-in-time work, JIT. Okay, rather than having a lot of items in progress and rather than having a lot of items waiting, we are bringing in all the resources that are needed just in time to get the work done, right? So that's the intention of Kanban, and as we know, Kanban today is a very popular framework that is used for software development, right? Using Agile DevOps software development, Kanban is very popular. And like I said, Kanban dates back to more than 50 years or even more than that, as I just mentioned. And then the main intention is this, just-in-time principle. And just-in-time can be applied not only to manufacturing, like I explained earlier. Just-in-time principles can actually be applied to software development teams as well. And the intention is this: match the amount of work in progress to the amount of capacity that the team has, right? Again, just think about your software development environment. There's no point in pushing more and more work to people in your team if they don't have the capacity. Yeah. Let's say we have only 3 software developers, and if we keep on pushing more and more stories, user stories to them, and ask them to do the work, it will not be efficient. Yeah. The developers will end up multitasking. The developers will end up doing multitasking, or the developers will end up having a lot of items in progress. Nothing is done, right? Our intention of using Kanban as software development teams should be to create a are there any questions on the chat by any chance? Do let me know. Or any thoughts on the chat?
No, okay.
Nothing at the moment. Okay, great. Okay, let's look at the Kanban practices now. And from this point onwards, when I'm explaining the Kanban practices, I'll alternate between the slides and an instance of Atlassian JIRA, right? These are the 6 main Kanban practices. Visualize the work and the workflow, as well as any business risks that might be there. Limit the amount of work in progress. Manage the flow of work. Make your policies explicit. Implement feedback loops, and then improve collaboratively and evolve experimentally. Now, during this presentation, again, this is not a Kanban, a pure Kanban. So what I'll do is I'll touch upon only a few of these practices, right? And that also, I'm only covering the surface or the basics, and I'm actually showing JIRA, how to use JIRA to cover at least the basics of these practices, right? So let's start with the first one. First practice is all about visualization. Kanban is all about visualization, right? Kanban is all about signboards. Kanban is all about visual cards and all. So visualization is of 2 main areas: visualize the workflow and visualize your work. Okay. Now from this point onwards, I'll be alternating. So when we take JIRA, when we create a Kanban project, when we create a Kanban software development project, by default, it will create a workflow. This simple workflow will consist mainly of these workflow statuses, right? To do, ongoing, and done. Now, basically what we are doing is this: any type of work that we are doing, any type of work that anyone does, right? Any type of work that anyone does, not just software development people, anyone does, will go through to-do state. First of all, any work item will be in to-do state, right? We need to get that particular work item done. Then we start the work. So we move it into ongoing or in progress state, right? So people are working on it now. And then once the work is done, we will move it to the done state. This is the simplest type of workflow which is applicable for any type of work, right? I'll maybe show one more slide, and then I'll go to JIRA. Now, based on the type of work that we do, we can modify our workflow and make our workflow more visible. If we are doing software development, we might have a workflow like this: backlog, to do, work items in design state, development state, testing state, verification, maybe that's the UAT state, and then finally the done state. Again, it's up to you and me to decide the names that we are going to use for our workflow statuses, as well as it is up to you and me, the team to decide, okay, what are the optimum workflow statuses that we need to look at based on the type of work that we do. What are the optimum workflow statuses that we need to use to get the work done? All right. With that, let me go to JIRA. Now, I've already created some test projects just for demonstration purposes. But what I'll do is I'll create a project first of all, right? So basically, you click on you go to projects and you development and you select Kanban. Yeah. And now in terms of the project that you are using, you can use a template. And then finally, you have options. So you have team managed option as well as you have company managed option. The two differences between these two options to set up a Kanban project, the details are actually given over here. I'll be selecting company managed simply because I want to show you all some additional capabilities in terms of adding swim lanes and all, right? Simply put, there are some additional capabilities that are available when you select the option company managed. So I'll go there, select a company managed project, and I'll just put a name, Kanban session. I'll just put live, right? So this is my live instance, and then it will by default give you a Kanban board. And as you all can see now, again, one thing, if you all selected team managed from those two options, the board that you will get will look a little bit different, right? You all can try it out. If you all have an instance of Atlassian, you can Atlassian JIRA, sorry, you all can try it out. But when you all have selected the other option, this is what you will get, right? So backlog selected for development, since we selected a software development project, right? Selected for development, in progress. The development is in progress and then finally done. So this is like to do, in progress, done. The simple workflow that I showed you all earlier, to do, in progress, done, right? Now, basically, this is your visualization of your workflow. That's the starting point for creating a Kanban project, right? You need to do is you can go with the default. You can go with the default option that is given by Atlassian JIRA, or you can go and modify. Right, so you can go and select this option. You can go to board settings, and then you can basically. So at the moment, it's just So I can now add my statuses now, right? So at the moment, the view that I'm getting is this sort of a view. Let me add a column now. Now let's say I want a new status. I want to show. Sorry, let's do a small change. So we have selected for development. I want to rename this. I'm not happy with just in progress. I want to show that, okay, development also can be in progress. So you can just rename it. Say I want to add a column, testing in progress. Again, it's a in progress status. So I'll keep it like that, and then I'll add it. So basically what will happen is it will add a new status for my workflow. And if I go back to my project view once again, back to the board, we will be able to see this new workflow status added. One important thing, right? Now in the backend, we can configure the statuses, okay, and we can also define the transitions that can happen from one status to another, right? In the backend, we can define our workflow as well as we can in our edit mode, right? In our edit mode, we can define our workflow as well as we can define those transitions that can happen from one status to another when we are creating the workflow. I'll not go because that's a completely different topic in terms of workflow management and all on JIRA. I'm sure there'll be a separate session, complete session, some purely on workflow management, right? So I'll not go there. I just wanted to show you all that we can actually customize our workflow and make our workflow visible. Okay. All right. So we can define our workflow based on the type of work that we do. I'll again show my slide deck for a second, and then we can do something like this also. In Kanban, there's a concept called adding buffer statuses. In Kanban, there's a concept called adding buffer statuses. Buffering means this, right? Now have a look at what I have shown on my slide. So we have our to-do state, then I have development can be in progress state. in progress state, testing can be in the done state, right? So basically what is happening is when we take a workflow, there are instances where there's a handoff of work happening. Development will do their work and testing needs to now pick up the work from development, right? Once development is done, let's start with this. So the developers start doing their work. So from to-do state, the developers move that ticket into the ongoing state. Then the developers finish the work. The developers finish the work and they move it to the done state, development done state, right? Now, maybe the developer takes a good 8 hours to do the development work and he or she has moved it to the done state. Now, there's a handoff that needs to happen. Testing needs to pick up the work that the developers have done. Testing needs to pick up the work that the developers have done, right? Now, testing might not do it immediately. The testers already have in their bucket, so they're busy. So they're not able to pick up the work immediately from development. So what is happening? We are actually having a waiting state. This is an active state. This is an active state. This is a waiting state. Yeah, we are waiting. The ticket is waiting until testing picks it up. Okay. Now, sometimes this waiting might be just for 1 hour. There might be instances where some tickets end up waiting for even 2-3 days. I'm sure you all have seen this happening in your development environments also. Some tickets are waiting in a particular state for a long period of time. Now, especially in Kanban, right? Especially when it comes to work and continuous improvement. Now, Agile again is all about continuous improvement. When it comes to Agile, when it comes to Kanban, we want to see where we can actually cut down in terms of waste. 2 to 3 days waste. Sorry, 2 to 3 days waiting is actually, yeah, we want to cut as much as possible. So we want to see where these problems are happening. We would like to see where these problems are happening, right? When we have situations like that, we can actually add these buffer statuses to make our workflow much more visual. Okay. Now, what are the options that we have when it comes to Atlassian JIRA? It's like this. Atlassian JIRA at the moment does not allow us to break a main status into 2 sub-statuses. Or in other words, Atlassian JIRA at the moment does not allow us to break one column into 2 smaller columns. It does not allow that, right? So one option that we have is, I'll go to our configure mode again. I'll go to our configure mode once again. So I already have development in progress. I'll just add a status. Sorry, I'll add a column. Right. So again, now one additional thing. So when we are adding a new buffer status, we might actually want to add a new status also, simply because there's a time when work gets done finally, right? There's a time when the work gets done at the end, right? So we might actually want to differentiate between this done state and that done state at the moment, right? At the moment, just to show you all, or maybe you all can actually add a custom status saying waiting state, right? So that's a waiting state. Just for demonstration purposes, just to move forward quickly, I'll select this done state for the moment. But keep in mind what I just mentioned to you all. Simply because we are adding an intermediate done state, or simply because we are adding an intermediate waiting state, my advice would be to add to keep up this development done state. I'll move forward with this for now. Right, so the development done state has got added over here. So let me just try to move it up. Development in progress, development done. Similarly, for testing in progress, if you need a testing done column also, if you want to keep track at that level, you can actually add a testing done column as well. So I'll go back to my board once again. My workflow now will look like this. So I think now you all can understand one problem that we will have when we keep on adding buffer statuses is we will have more and more columns, right? We will end up having more and more columns. So that's actually a small drawback that we have in terms of making our workflow with buffer statuses more visible, right? So something that you all will need in mind when defining your workflow with buffer statuses. Okay. One other option that we have. So let me just change my board for a second. I'm sure you all know you can actually create multiple boards in JIRA, right? So I've actually created a board previously. I'll select this particular board, Kanban session new. This is only a workaround, right? This is not at all a solution. So basically what I've done is I want to see whether there are things in active state, right? And whether there are any issues in waiting statuses. So basically what I've done is I've actually gone down the path. I've gone down the path of creating swim lanes. I'm going to show you all swim lanes in more detail in a few minutes time. But for the moment, just keep in mind that these horizontal lines, whatever that you add, the board is actually. So basically what I've done is I've added 2 swim lanes, active swim lane as well as waiting swim lane. All right. Now if I again go to my, if I go to lanes, right? If I go to swim lanes, you will see that I've actually just added 2 jQueries. Again, you all decide. You all need to decide. Okay, do I need to add custom statuses? And then map that custom status in your jQuery. That's something that you all will need to decide. What I've done is a simple thing. Again, this is only a simple workaround. I'm sure there are much more better ways of doing this also. So I've basically said buffer active and buffer waiting, and I've written this jQuery status equals in progress or state, and status equals done, and I've just added it as a right.
Ramesh, can we have your JIRA screen zoom, maybe 120?
Okay. How is it now? How 125 now?
Yeah, that's better.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. So I hope you all got this. Basically, what I've done is I've added swim lanes, and I've added some queries in the backend just to make this visible. And when I go to my JIRA board, right? Basically, what has happened is I've now got 2 swim lanes, right? Buffer active and buffer waiting. Don't look at these for the moment. On hold and expedite. I'll talk about them as we move forward, right? What do I prefer? I actually prefer what I showed previously. I'm sure Atlassian. I think when I did some, I saw that there are threads buffer statuses needing to add some needing to break a main column into sub columns. There are some discussions already going on in the Atlassian community. I'm sure these features will come out later. But what do I prefer? I actually prefer the first option that I showed, but keep in mind, you will end up adding more and more columns, right? And you will need to do that backend mapping to enable those transitions properly. So if you all are project managers, if you all are team leads in your projects, if you all are configuring JIRA for your projects, you all will need to consciously look at configuring those transitions properly from the backend. All right. So keep that in mind. I'll show my slide deck once again. So we've looked at buffer statuses. Now I'm still talking about visualization, right? And I'm still talking about visualizing. Now we've already seen swim lanes. Now when it comes to Kanban, adding these horizontal lines or adding these swim lanes is actually called defining your classes of service, right? Basically, we want to visualize the type of work that we do, or we want to visualize special categories of work that we are working on in a different way, right? When we have situations like that, we can add these classes of service, or in other words, we can add these horizontal lines going across our board, right? So basically, what do we see over here? We have a swim lane we have a swim lane on our board where we track our day-to-day work, standard type of work, right? Nothing special. This is BAU, business as usual, right? So you can track as usual tickets in this particular swim lane. But as you and me know, when it comes to software development, there are instances when we are using Kanban, all of a sudden our customer or our stakeholder will come and say, look here, I want this particular piece of work done as quickly as possible. I can't be waiting for 2 or 3 weeks. I can't be waiting for 1 month. I can't be waiting until you all prioritize this. I want it expedited. I want it done immediately, right? You can have your BAU work over here, but I want this particular ticket to be done as quickly as possible. Now, when you all have situations like this, where you want to clearly see things that you need to do as quickly as possible, you can add a swim lane called expedite. Similarly, there might be tasks that you need to do based on a fixed date, as a fixed deadline, right? You need to get something done by the 30th of August, for example, fixed deadline. Any task that have a actually want to them. Any blockers or impediments, right? So you're working on something, but now you are stuck. You can't continue forward. You're depending on another team for some information. So you don't want to keep it in your standard swim lane. You would actually want to highlight it. Again, Kanban is all about visualization. Yeah, you want to make things that are blocked visible, right? So you can add a swim lane for that also. You can maintain statuses to maintain your impediments. Similarly, you can maintain a swim lane to maintain your impediments also. Now let's see how we can do this using JIRA. Sorry, one more thing. Now when we are creating swim lanes, you can actually add swim lanes based on assignee, right? Based on project, based on product name, based on component, based on name of the module, based on any criteria that you want to visualize your work, you can actually add swim lanes, right? Now, for example, if you are doing let's say you are doing a CRM application, right? And in that CRM application, you have a leads module, and then you have a customer module. Now, if you want to clearly see everything, all the work that you are doing related to the leads module, you might actually want to track it as a separate swim lane, right? You might actually want to track it as a separate swim lane. Leads module as a swim lane, customer module as a swim lane, admin module as a swim lane. So it's up to you all to decide how you want to make your work visible, right? Again, one additional thing, it is also possible to make your large level modules visible based on epics. Correct. That also I agree, right? But if there are instances, if you feel as a team that making your modules visible based on it's up to you all to decide that as a team and add it as a swim lane. So let me go back once again to my board. So on this board, you all already see some additional swim lanes added, expedited, on hold, like that. I've added 2 more. Again, I'll cover this later. Policies I'll cover later, but on hold, expedite, and then everything else is your standard business as usual type of work, right? Now, for example, I'll show you all how I have configured this. If I show an example of creating a new ticket, I'll create a new story, right? So test story 7, I guess. So I'll just add it. When I add that story to this particular board, what will happen is it will get added to everything else. So this is basically a business as usual, right? Everything the normal manner. Everything to be done in the normal manner will get added to your everything else swim lane. All right. So let me just go back to my board settings. And if you all see the swim lanes once again, what I've basically done again is I've written a jQuery, right? What I've defined. So as a team, we have decided, this is a hypothetical scenario, right? We have decided that highest priority, we create a JIRA ticket, we can mark the priority, right? So we have these categories. So what I've done is I've gone ahead with these priority categories that are available on JIRA. And basically what I'm saying is, if we create a ticket with highest priority, that means it should be expedited. That I've taken, I'm saying is, if priority equals highest, add them to the expedited column. Okay, and if the status equals on hold, so I want to make whatever work that is blocked also visible, right? So if my status is on hold, basically what I've done is I've added a status, right? By default, I don't think you get the status on hold. If I remember correct, when I was configuring, I actually added this on hold status. So if your status is equal to on hold, then add that particular ticket to the on hold swim lane. If I go back to my board, you will see some tickets that I've already added. So I have a ticket that is in the expedited state. It's in progress. It's in progress, and it's in the expedited state, right? And I have a on hold status also. Basically, I'm saying that I'm blocked, right?
Hi, Ramesh. I might be having a question for you. So with the swim lanes, can you have like different two types? Say that I want to do by module and then by assignee.
I want to do by module and then by assignee.
Module and then by assignee. So say that
okay, so
like you have like leads, and under lead I want to know like what is done by developer 1, then developer 2. Then under customers, so again what is developer 1, developer 2, like two different.
Yeah, basically okay, and based on that you want to create a swim lane also, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So basically it's a matter of modifying your JQL, right? So if you want to filter by your assignee also, you can add that into your query. Did that make sense? If we do this simple configuration, right? So you have the option of creating your swim lanes based on assignee. What will happen is if at the moment I don't think I have any assignees, so I might not be able to show this. Yeah, so everything is unassigned because I don't have any assignees. Now, if you create your swim lanes based on your assignees, you will see those assignees displayed over here. But if there's a requirement that you have to filter by multiple criteria, then you will actually need to use these queries, and in these queries you will need to say okay, filter by on. Okay, so I won't be able to show it over here, but basically it's a matter of adding
the JQL, okay.
JQL and saying okay, filter by this as well as by assignee.
All right. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so move forward. Visualization over here, right? We've seen at a major part of Kanban is all about visualization. It's up to y'all to decide, okay, how can I make my workflow visual, right? Based on the type of work that our team is doing, based on the objectives that we have, based on what we are trying to achieve, how can we make our workflow visible in the most optimum manner, right? The next part of visualization is all about visualizing the work. Yeah, the next part of visualization is all about visualizing the work. So basically, in Kanban, we are creating Kanban cards. Okay. So
Ramesh,
we can
ask you a quick question before we move on to this.
Yeah.
Lakmal. So in general context, what happens is we always have blockers to ongoing work. So you said maybe if it's on hold, we can flag it up as in a different swim lane. Okay, but how would that impact the like the limits that we have on work in progress? How would we sort of figure out what's the optimum WIP limit when we have those additional?
Yeah, so basically what will happen is your WIP limit is added to the entire column. So that's what has happened over here also, right? I've put a minimum of 2, maximum of 3. Your WIP limit is applied for the entire column, right? Even though I have something in my on hold column, on hold status, still it is getting counted in my WIP limit. What you all will need to do is it's actually a team discussion that you all will need to have and decide, okay, how do we actually do it in the optimum manner? Do we increase our WIP limits? So based on your analysis, you all can decide, right? Okay, per week, how many tickets do we end up having in our blocked state normally?
Right.
In a week, how many do we have? And based on that, you might actually want to increase your WIP limit.
And what are your thoughts on having a separate column for on-hold items?
That's good. That's good. So that's actually something that I've seen also. There are some teams that actually add a column saying on hold. Yeah.
Right.
So now that will not affect your in-progress WIP limit, right? It will directly move. You can move your ticket into your on-hold column. Perfectly fine, right? So that's how you are visualizing your workflow. Perfectly fine. I'm just showing options, right? I'm just showing options.
Good. Thank you.
Again, Kanban is all about continuous improvement, right? If I go back to our practices that we saw, the sixth practice is all about improving collaboratively and evolving experimentally. So we are experimenting. That's what we are doing, right? Okay, we added a swim lane status. Okay. Down the line, we realize, okay, it is not working. It ends up, we end up having a lot of items on hold, and without WIP limits, it's actually going for a 6. The WIP limits are going for a 6. Let's change this. It's not working. Let's add on hold as a column. Perfectly fine. And on hold as a column is actually something that I've seen a lot of teams doing, right? But why I actually showed this is because Kanban talks about this concept of classes of service, right? I'm focusing on classes of service, so that's why I actually showed this to you all. But adding a column is perfectly fine.
Thanks, Ramesh.
Yeah. So I think I was talking about visualizing our work, right? I was talking about visualizing our work. So basically, this is all about creating your tickets, your issues on JIRA, right? So I'll this as well a little bit. I'll show you all some good practices in terms of writing stories, writing tasks also, right? And I'll show you all some good practices in terms of making your acceptance criteria visible and all. So these are all important stuff in terms of visualizing your work, right? Basically, you can add a title for your ticket. You can add a priority. You can add more details, right? You can add your start dates, end dates, due dates, estimates, a unique reference number. You can add a color to your ticket. All these options are suggested in pure Kanban in terms of visualizing your work. So what are the options that we have in JIRA? Now, when we create a ticket, so this is basically our visualization of work, right? We have the option of selecting issue types. These are the issue types that are coming out of the box. This policies is something that I added. Okay, so this is a custom issue type that I added. By default, what comes is story, task, bug, and epic. Okay, and as we all know, for any type of big work that we need to do, we can make use of this issue type epic. For any type of functionality that we need to implement, we can use the issue type story. For any type of maybe some technical configuration, some technical server configuration, or whatever technical work that needs to be done, or maybe some developer environment upgrade that needs to be done, we can use task, right? And then for any defect that needs to be fixed, we can use bug. Now again, why I explain this briefly is because of this. Most of the time, teams struggle, right? Or teams are not on the same page. Teams are not on the same page as to which issue. I'm sure you'll have this. Some teams will use task when it is actually a functionality. Yeah, when it is actually a functionality of the system, they end up adding it as a task, right? And if it is a functionality, it is a technical thing to be done, but still they end up adding it as a task. Sorry, they end up adding it as a story. Now, what I'm trying to highlight over here is this. You all need to have working agreements in your team as to when to use which issue type. That's the first thing you all need to get right. I'll not add any epics. I'll show something with stories, right? So when you're adding your stories, as you all know, we have a field to add our summary. So this is basically a user story title, isn't it? I'll just say something like add customer. So this is my user story title, right? Sorry, and then you can make use of your write your user story as an administrator. Let me try to write this quickly. As an administrator, I must be able to add a new customer so that I can notify, so that I can maintain the customer record. Right, so basically, you can make your work to be done visible in your description section. Now again, you have the option of adding custom fields also to your issue creation screen that you get, and you can add a custom area where you can actually add your acceptance criteria separately. Or what you can do is you can add your acceptance criteria here itself. Right? Again, visualization, clear visualization is important. Clear visualization is important, right? So adding your, doing a format is again part of visualization of the work to be done, right? Now, again, when writing your acceptance criteria, try to follow a proper format. Verify that the customer record is saved properly in the customer database, right? Verify that if the customer record addition was not successful, and error message is displayed. And now you can make use of other analysis techniques. Again, I'm not going into that amount of detail, but you can make use of other analysis techniques like adding a prototype, right? Adding a process diagram, adding a state chart diagram, adding a data dictionary. You can make use of all these additional data available for details to our user story, right? And you can make use of the user story body section. Maybe you can write it in your body section, or you can add a separate page in Confluence. If you are using Confluence, add your details in a Confluence page and just refer from JIRA, right? Again, these are some additional stuff in terms of visualization. I'm sure in the future, representing stories in JIRA, representing additional details using JIRA and Confluence, I'm sure these sessions will be covered in the future. I'm just touching upon them just to let you all know we can make use of all these options that are available to us through Atlassian to better structure and manage our requirements. And again, visualization, adding attachments, right? Adding attachments, adding priorities. Now, if our user story is blocked by something, if our user story is duplicated by some relationship, mark that as well, right? And then assigning the work to someone. Assigning the work to someone is also about visualization. Marking your priority again is also about visualization. Adding labels, right? So again, this is something that the team needs to discuss and decide. What sort of labels do we use? How do we use labels? When do we use labels? This is again something that the team needs to discuss and decide. So basically what I'm saying is, okay, this is an Android related functionality, right? So this adding the customer record, adding the customer record is all about an Android functionality. So adding labels, linking your story to an epic, all these things, all these options that we have and much more, which are provided through JIRA, is all about your visualization of your work. Let me just add it. Now I said that in Kanban you can actually color code also, right? You can use different colored sticky notes, for example. If you're using sticky notes to track your work, you can use green color for user stories. You can use red color for your bugs, maybe use orange color for maintenance work, right? So if you're doing it physically in a physical Kanban board, you can use all these things using our sticky notes. What are the options that we have in JIRA? So by default, you get these icons, right? Okay, story, green with this particular icon. If you have a task, blue color with this particular icon. Yeah. At the moment, I don't think we have the option of color coding labels on JIRA. Color coding labels, that option is actually not available on JIRA. But making sure that, and even color coding our tickets, I'm not sure that options we have to make our work visible using these options on JIRA. Okay, so that's the first Kanban practice, all about visualization. I'll quickly move forward. The second thing is limiting our work in progress, putting WIP limits, right? So basically what we are doing is we are telling our team has a limitation in capacity, right? Our team has a limitation in capacity, and the work that we are doing is also of different complexities. So we can't be working on multiple tasks at the same time, or we can't be working on multiple Kanban tickets at the same time. So we want to limit the number of items in progress at a time. So that's basically what we are doing, right? So basically what we can do is we can add a WIP limit. Either we can add only a maximum, we can even minimum number. JIRA provides these options, right? So if we again go to our board settings, and if we go to our columns, right? Maybe you will see that you can for the applicable columns, right? For the applicable columns, you can actually add a minimum number and a maximum number. Okay. So at the moment, what I've done is I'm saying for the in progress state, minimum number of backlog items that we can have in progress is 2, and then a maximum of 3. Again, these numbers are not set in stone. Yeah, these numbers are not set in stone. If I go back to my JIRA board once again, once we add a WIP limit, as you all know, we can see our WIP limits over here on our board, and basically what move our tickets column with the WIP limits. If we exceed the WIP limits, it will highlight. It will highlight and say, look here, you have a limit of 3, but now you have 5 items in your in progress state. This is not right. Okay. Again, JIRA highlighting this entire column in red color is also related to visualization. It's clearly making it transparent that, look here guys, you are going beyond your capacity, right? That's also transparency. That's also part of visualization that's provided through Atlassian JIRA. And then for any of the statuses that we have, even for our buffer statuses, we can add WIP limits. Okay. And one advice, right? Wherever this handoff is happening, always go higher now, right? Again, just think about this. When we are doing work, we have 3 ongoing. That means we can have a maximum of 3 in the ongoing state. We can have a maximum of 5 in the done column. This is what it means, right? Now, what will happen if we have a maximum of 2 over here? That means we can have only a maximum of 2 in the done state. This will actually create a blocker, isn't it? Development is ongoing, and then development has finished something, but simply because there's a WIP limit of 2, development can't move that particular piece of work that they've done into the done column. Yeah. So an advice that I can give is when you're adding WIP limits, give me 1 second. So I'm just having a power cut. So let me share my screen once again. Can all let me know what you all can see right now?
We can hear you and see you, Ramesh. It's like you are
Okay.
from another planet.
Sorry.
It's like you are from another planet. That's it. But good. Your screen is good as
All
well.
good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All good.
Screen
All
is
good.
visible. Okay, now I'm having another problem. I guess my headset is also not working.
But we can hear you.
I think,
We can hear you okay.
yeah,
Yeah. If you like, maybe you can turn off your camera so then you can save
yeah,
some
let me do
screen
that.
and screen. Yeah.
Okay, I forgot that. Let me turn off my
No
camera.
worries.
One second. All right. So I can actually my laptop speaker, so it's a little bit faint. If I can't hear you all properly, if you're not asking any questions, I'll just ask again. All right. So basically, what I was saying is, I was talking about buffer statuses and putting WIP limits for buffer statuses. You can even do that as well, right? And I was telling when you're adding WIP limits for buffer statuses to this done state, always go for a higher number so that you don't create any impediments or blockers simply because we have a low WIP limit for that particular column. All right. So that's about putting WIP limits.
Rumesh, a quick question on W. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah. So are there any best practices that we can take for the project when placing the WIP limits to take work onto in progress state, or is it just based on the project itself and history?
Okay, so it's like this. I think your question is all about how do we decide on these numbers, right?
Yeah.
If we simply put it, how do we decide on these numbers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like this. Two main factors when we decide on the WIP limit, right? The number. Capacity of the team. One thing is capacity of the team, and the second thing is complexity. Okay. Something like this.
Right.
Now, let's say in our team we have 3 developers. That means, and let's say each developer can work on one single ticket at a time, right? We have 3 developers, right. and let's say each person can work on only one single ticket at a time. So we are putting our WIP limit based on the capacity that we have, right? The second thing that we can consider, or now there can be instances where the developers will say, okay, I can handle two tickets. Only capacity, the WIP limit will be 6, right? But as we know, from one person to another, their capacity, the amount of work that they can do, right, will differ, right? Based on multiple factors, based on their experience, based on their knowledge level, based on the type of work that we do, right, based on the complexity of the work that they do, the amount of work that they can handle in parallel can differ. Yeah. So rather than going ahead purely based on capacity, go for a mix of capacity plus the type of work or the complexity of work that we are doing. Okay, so the we have 3 developers. We have 3 developers, and the developers are saying we can handle 2 tickets at a time. But based on capacity and based on complexity of work, one developer will say, okay, I can't actually handle two tickets at a time. So I think I go with 5. And again, like I said earlier, your WIP limits are not set in stone, right? So you might start with 5, for example, right? And you might actually try it for about 2 or 3 weeks, and you'll see, okay, is it actually working? Is the team ending up having instances where it goes beyond the WIP limit, or are there instances where the team is idling? They have WIP limit where they can actually take more work. Is instances like that? So it's actually again it's a try something out, learn from it. Again, going back to my 6th principle: you learn something and then you improve.
Okay, thanks, Ramesh.
Okay, hope I answered that question.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let me. Making third Kanban practice, making policies explicit. To keep it simple, right? To keep it simple, these policies are basically our definitions of done, are similar to our definitions of done. DOD, right? I'm sure you all are practicing Scrum, and I'm sure you all definitely know about definition of done, right? What's the criteria that we will use to mark our work as done? That's the definition of done, right? So policies are similar. There are two main types of policies that we can create in Kanban: high-level policies and step-level policies. High-level policies and step-level policies, right? Now, what are these policies? What do we mean by high-level policies? What do we mean by step-level policies? Let's have a look at that. High-level policies is all about policies that are applicable for the entire board. Yeah, when we are creating a Kanban board, there are instances based on the work that we do. There are certain guidelines, or there are certain policies that are applicable for the entire board. Have a look at these examples that I've added, right? Everything in the backlog first, right? The board works based on the workflow stage level policies. A new request needs to have a date, time, a title, name of the requester by color with SL defined, pull from the ready state to work, and not the backlog. If the task takes less than 15 minutes, we don't need to add it onto the board. Now, if you all look at these policies, these are like very general things which are instructing the team on how to work. Very high level, general level things which are instructing the team on how they need to work, right? Okay, now how can we add these general policies? No, right? Can we add general policies on JIRA? Not possible, right? My advice would be make use of Confluence to do this. Create a separate page in Confluence. Name it as high-level policies for your Kanban board or for your Kanban system, and add your high-level or add your general level policies which are applicable for the entire team, for the entire board, into that particular page, right? The second type of policies that we have are step-level policies. These are basically pull criteria, right? I'll explain what this pull criteria and I'll explain what this pull system is all about in Kanban. Okay. So basically what we are doing is we are adding policies for workflow statuses now, right? We are adding done definition of done criteria for applicable work statuses, workflow statuses. We are criteria for applicable workflow statuses. So basically what we are doing is this: we are saying when this criteria is satisfied, we can move a ticket from analysis to the development in progress state, or basically the developers can take up work from analysis when this criteria is met, right? Over here, when this particular criteria is met, QA engineers will get a signal to pull the work from development, right? Have a look at the examples once again that I've written. Requirement is accepted and the prototype is finalized. So when this particular criteria is met, developers can take the work from the analysis column, right? So we have a ticket which has been analyzed, and this ticket has satisfied this criteria. Then the developers will know, okay, this is a signal for me to analysis. When this particular criteria is satisfied, coding is done and code review for the item is completed. When this signal is given, the testers will know, okay, this particular ticket I can pull from development into my particular bucket. Okay, so these are step level policies. Let's again go back to our JIRA instance. Let's see how we can actually do this now. Again, there's a problem. JIRA does not actually allow us to, add a separate area to add our policies. A facility like that is not available to add any step level policies. Again, what I'm showing is a workaround which has been discussed in the Atlassian community, right? And this is the workaround. So what that workaround basically says is add it as a swim lane. Add policies as a swim lane. So basically, if you're saw what I showed earlier also. Things. And if I go to my swim lanes, first of all, what I've done is I've gone to my settings, global settings, right? I've gone to my global settings, I've selected issues, and basically what I've done is I've added an issue called policies. That's the first thing that I did, right? So I basically added a new issue type. I've basically added a new issue type. That's why when I click on create, that is why I'm actually getting these policies as an issue type, right? And again, be mindful about this. When you're adding new issue types, you will actually need to, associate the applicable workflows, right, to this particular issue type. So I've gone with the workflows and the schemes that I've created for my demo purposes. I've already configured that. That's the first thing that I did. And if I again go back to my project, and if I go back to my board settings and swim lanes, basically what I've done is I've added a swim lane. My issue type is equal to this. That's actually policy that I've added, right? Again, this is a problem simply because this gets counted in our WAP limits once again. Yeah. So basically, I've added a test policy also. So there's a policy that is applicable for the development state. Again, problem simply because now this is there as a ticket. That's the first problem, and you can actually move these tickets. That's a problem, right? As well as these WAP limits are also getting applied, and that also is a problem. The other option that we have is again create these policies in Confluence, right? Make it visible for everyone in a Confluence page. Add those stepwise policies in a Confluence page, and make it transparent, make it visible for everyone. Okay, I hope that was clear. Let me know if there are any questions about these policies. And I'm now going to show you all how this works now, right? Why does PO Kanban actually tell us to add a WAP limit, and why does it actually tell us? It is because of this, right? Kanban is all about enabling a continuous flow of work, and Kanban works based on something called a pull system. Kanban is a pull system. Okay, what it means is this. Think about us first of all, right? Our human nature is to push work to someone else, right? That's our human nature. No? Now, if we are working as part of a workflow, if I am done with my work, my normal behavior, as soon as I don't care whether that person is busy or not. I won't care whether that person is busy or not. I'm done with my work. Let me push it to the next person, right? So it's like a scenario. The developer is saying the developer is done with the work. Let me push it to the tester. I'm done with my work. It's up to the tester now. So let me push it to the tester. That's the normal tendency, right? And that's what happens in Scrum. It works as a push system. But Kanban works as a pull system, right? Kanban works as a pull system. What does that mean? Kanban works like this. So first of all, we need to check whether we have free capacity in a particular status, right? So we have this testing ongoing status. And we have put a WAP limit of 5. Right? And at the moment, the testers are testing one single ticket. Just one single ticket. Sorry, there's free capacity. There are free slots, right? That's satisfied, right? So it's like a scenario where in our JIRA board, we don't have red color, right? It's okay. It's not a red color. It's not an amber color. We are doing okay, right? So we have free capacity. The second thing that needs to be checked is we need to check our policies. So we have an item in the done state. We have an item in the development done state. Is this particular ticket satisfying this criteria, the done criteria, right? So basically what will happen is the testers will check whether they have free capacity. Yes. The testers will check whether the developers have done something, and the testers will check whether, even though the developers have done it, have they actually done it properly? Have these policy criteria been met? If that is the case, in Kanban, what will happen is the testers pull the testers are pulling the work from the developers. Now, the important the important thing in terms of living Kanban with JIRA now is updating comments, right? Updating progress. So as you all know, when we are working in a software development environment, we are told, right, update the status, update the progress, right? If you start your work, make sure that you move your ticket as soon as possible, right?
Did we lose?
I'll explain to you all why I'm saying that. I'm sure you all have seen some developers, they started, after 1 or 2 hours only they move it to the in progress state. Not good, right? So it's not living Kanban properly using JIRA. As soon as they start the work, ask them to move that ticket to that particular column, right? And then again, asking your team members to put proper updates on JIRA again is part of living Kanban, right? And then
Ramesh, you were breaking up previously. I think we are good now.
Looks like there's a delay, right, Bhumika?
Yes, it seems so. Ramesh, are you still with us?
Let's check
I think-
it.
Yeah, let me just quickly check.
am I audible?
Yeah, you're good, Ramesh. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So no power, as well as now it's raining. Were you all able to hear me properly, or do you all want me to repeat what I was saying?
Ramesh, I think it would be good to go through what we just went through.
Sorry, I didn't get that, Bhuvankar.
I think it will be good to go through what we just did.
Okay. So I was actually talking about making Kanban work, and Kanban is all about, a pull system. I'm sure you all saw this, I hope. So Kanban will check whether that particular status will have free capacity, and Kanban will also check whether the policies are met for any ticket in the previous state, right? If both these criteria are satisfied, testers will pull the work from development, right? Similarly, the developers will pull the work from analysis. It's not developers pushing work to testing. It's not analysis pushing work to development. It's the other way around, based on these two main factors. Is there free capacity? Are the policies met, right? And then I was actually talking about how can we make this possible using JIRA, right? How can we make this possible in JIRA? So it's all about your team members.
Rumesh, I think we lost you again.
In progress state. As soon as they're done, to the done state, right? Why this is important is because we want to see how long does a particular ticket wait in a particular state, right? How long does a particular ticket take to get done, to get the development done, and how long does it take for a particular ticket to be picked up from how long does it take for a particular ticket to be picked up by the next person in the workflow, right? So we want to see these things. Get your team members to update JIRA as quickly as possible, right? And then I'm sure you all who are practicing Agile, I'm sure you all are getting your team members to update the time that they spent. Most of the teams do this, logging time on JIRA. That JIRA provides to update comments. That's an important thing. We just try to minimize this. Adding comments for tickets is very, very important to show progress. Okay, I have done this particular thing. I am at this particular moment, right? Now, again, as we know, we can actually tag people on JIRA. We can tag people on JIRA just by using the @ sign. We can, if we have other team, we can just tag people on JIRA. Again, when adding comments, make sure that you all tag people on JIRA so that people get notified. All these things are to do with making your work visible and making your progress of work visible. Okay, and then if you are a developer, if you are down the line in your workflow, don't just push work. You let the other party push work based on your policies and based on your WIP limits. Now, if you all follow these instructions, getting these red columns on JIRA can be minimized, right? We are getting red columns simply because we are moving tickets without thinking about the other person. Yeah, we are moving tickets without thinking about the other person. It should be a case where this guy is actually pulling the work, if that person has capacity, right? Not the other way around. So think about that, and that will actually enable you all to manage your workflow properly. All right, I'll be showing one last area. So like I said, my intention is not to go through all these Kanban practices one by one in detail. I'm actually only touching upon, covering the main areas and giving you all an idea about, okay, what is Kanban and practice. I'm taking the 5th practice. I'm directly going into the 6th practice, improve collaboratively and evolve experimentally. As I told you all earlier also, Kanban is an empirical process. Kanban is a trial and error process. Nothing that we decide is set in stone, right? Even our WIP limits are not set in stone. Even our policies are not set in stone. Even our workflow can evolve, right? So that also should evolve. It should not be set in stone, and you should be. It does not mean that you should define your workflow and be stuck with it. If you are not happy with it, you can actually change it, right? So improving collaboratively and evolving experimentally is the 6th Kanban practice. I'll show you all 3 main metrics. I'll show you all 3 main metrics that we can take in Kanban. One is called the throughput, right? Throughput simply means the number of items that have gone through this entire workflow and got marked as done within a particular time period, right? So basically in JIRA time period, how many items do we have in our done column? That's our throughput, right? So over here, within the month, we have 50. And then we can also take the lead time and the cycle time of a ticket. Lead time and the cycle time of a Kanban ticket, right? So lead time simply means how long does it take for a particular ticket once it arrives at the to-do state, from the to-do state, right? From the to-do state to the done state. For a ticket to move from the to-do state to the done state, how long does it take? That's your lead time, right? So like what is marked over here, this is our lead time. From your to-do state, you will start working on it. And from the time you start work on it until it is done, how long does it take? Now this is, I'll give a practical example. It's something like this, right? Let's say you went to a restaurant. You went to a restaurant at 8 o'clock in the night, right? And you gave your order to the waiter at 8 in the night, right? You gave your order to the waiter at 8 in the night, right? But you are getting your food on the table only at 8:30. You ordered at 8 o'clock. You are getting your food at 8:30. That's your lead time. That's how long it took for you to get your food, right? Now, what will happen at the restaurant? You gave your order at 8 o'clock in the night, and then the person who's cooking will start cooking only at 8:10, right? So just follow what I'm saying. So the chef starts cooking at 8:10, right? And then finally we get the food on our table at 8:30, right? Our lead time is this. From the time I gave my order until the time I got my food on my table, that's my lead time, right? From the time that the chef started preparing the food, so this is waiting. This particular area is waiting, and then we have started the work. The chef has started the work, and then this particular time period is my lead time. Sorry, my cycle time. This is the time period where the work is actually getting done. Okay. Now, how can we see these two things in JIRA? These two things in JIRA in Kanban, right? And how can we make use of this? So we have this thing called the cumulative flow diagram as well as the control chart. Now, unfortunately, I won't be able to say, I won't be able to show a proper control chart from my JIRA instance. I'll show what I have, but it's not a proper thing, simply because I haven't, I don't have multiple people working, as well as I haven't simulated the tasks getting done day by day, right? I haven't moved tickets over the last week or so. I haven't done that. So I'm just showing an example over here. So basically what we can do is we can go to our JIRA instance. I'll show you all how to access this particular report, right? You just need to go to your report section and you just need to select your cumulative flow diagram. And as I said, my cumulative flow diagram will not look. This is my cumulative flow diagram. I'll explain using my slide, right? So a cumulative flow diagram tickets status by status in your workflow day by day, right? So if you all see over here, we have our and we have our issues as our tickets as our y-axis, right? And look at the color coding. So our done is in green color, our backlog column is in dark blue, analysis in orange color, and so on. So this is the color coding that you see over here. Now, I showed you all some metrics. Throughput, first of all. Throughput in our cumulative flow diagram simply is the height, right? On a particular day, what's the height of our cumulative flow diagram done column, right? So this is my done column. Green color is my done column. What's the height of the done column day by day, right? So if you see over here, the throughput this particular day is 6, right? So we have got 6 items done by the 7th of August 2019. We've got 6 items done. By the next day, let's say 2 or 3 more items done. So we have 9 items by the 8th of August. The vertical height is our throughput in our cumulative flow diagram, right? ideally what should happen is your throughput should increase over a period of time, right? Now, if you all have a flat to the done, this horizontal line is my lead time. Why? The lead time is a particular issue from it is marked as done. That is my lead time. So my horizontal line in a cumulative flow diagram is my lead time. And then from the time a ticket starts the work, that's my analysis state. So analysis is my next state. From the time a ticket moves to the analysis state until it is marked as done, this is my cycle time. Lead time and the cycle time is shown as horizontal lines. Again, if you have a very large horizontal line in your cumulative flow diagram, that's not good, right? That means your cycle time is very, very long, right? Have a look at this. From the 2nd of August till the 7th of August, we have about 5 days. My cycle time over here is 5 days, right? Period of time, my cycle time is reduced. So this is good. So basically we are saying we have got things done within 3 or 4 days. Cycle time is reducing. That's what should happen ideally. Over a period of time, our lead time and our cycle time should reduce, right? That's basically it. That's basically what I wanted to cover. So thank you very much. In terms of the presentation, I'm done. And then, so go forth and leave Kanban with Atlassian JIRA.
Thanks, Ramesh. Let me quickly present my screen.
Hi, Ramesh. Before we wrap up, question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So in Kanban, we don't really have any like rituals as such, right? In its general process question, I guess. 2-week sprint, or it's just an ongoing process.